Happy Thursday. Thank you for tuning in to FTN Bets Happy Hour. Elliot is out tonight, so I am joined by the always fabulous Ray Q and our special guest of the night, Chris Meaney. Meaney, welcome to Happy Hour. How are you? And are you ready to make some killer picks for our viewers tonight?
I don't know. I'm ready to have some wine with you, though, some vino. Yeah, you guys have been crushing it all year long. I am happy to be here with both of you guys. Yes, we're going to break down a game that is pretty meaningful for both teams. I think you lose and you can kiss your season goodbye. So looking forward to breaking everything down with you guys.
And Ray, it's good to see you again. I feel like it's been forever. How are you tonight?
It's been a minute. It's been 2 weeks. I'm back. I'm excited. I was listening to Chris's show, Mean Streets, earlier, so I know everything that he's already going to say. So I'll just whatever. I'm just gonna steal everything that Chris said and just regurgitate it as my own. And I see y'all got drinks, so I feel like I gotta bust open the case here.
Get it
baby.
open.
Topo for the show, but nah, I'm excited. Big game tonight, important for both teams. So hopefully we give the people some good picks to make some money, man. That's what we do.
Well, it's going to be great. And we have a fabulous game tonight, as you guys mentioned, the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Minnesota Vikings, who are 3-point favorites at home. And we'll start with you, Meaney. Who do you have in this game?
I got the Steelers. I took them earlier in the week at 3.5. I think if you could find that, I would jump on it at 3.5 at PointsBet. I think that's a pretty decent bet. Just, looking at this Vikings team, they played a lot of close games so far this season. 10 one-score games. All 7 of their losses have been decided by a touchdown. 8 points, one of them 8 points, still a one-score game. They have 5 losses, which have come in the final play of the game. So they've really played some tight games. So if you're going to be able to give me the hook at 3.5, I'll take that. And if you can't find it anywhere, I'm still on the Steelers +3. I think that Pittsburgh got a big win last week, and it was much needed, that's for sure. But this Minnesota team, it's tough. Both of these teams are so inconsistent. I never know what they're going to bring every single week. I'm not sure. But I do know that Minnesota, all the Vikings fans, the heartbreak so far for this team this season. So I got to go with the Steelers to keep this close within a field goal. That's where I'm leaning. If you ask me to pick just money line straight up, I think the Vikings squeak one out just because they're at home. But I do believe that this is going to be a field goal game here tonight.
And the Vikings are probably still hurting a little bit from last week. Ray, are you agreeing? Do you think the Steelers take it home tonight or what?
Yeah, I'm definitely on board with what Meaney's talking about. You got two teams sort of trending opposite directions from last week, right? Minnesota with a devastating loss to the winless Lions. And then you got Pittsburgh. Listen, say what you want about Harbaugh, not kicking the field goal, not, going for 2 points. Pittsburgh pulled out a much-needed divisional win at just the right moment. And, for as bad as Ben has looked all year, Ben Roethlisberger, second half of that game, he looked okay. He looked competent. He looked fine. Now, Kirk Cousins is probably having one of his best statistical seasons of his career this year, only 3 interceptions on the season. He's playing phenomenally. We've got reports that Dalvin Cook's back in action tonight, so I think Minnesota's got a lot. This is do or die for Minnesota right here, but I'm with Meaney. I think I like Pittsburgh in this one. I believe in some of their playmakers more than I do Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins as much as I love Justin Jefferson.
Well, I think it's going to be an interesting game, and the point total is sitting at 43.5 points. Meaney, do you think they go over tonight or stick to the trend of the season and go under?
Yeah, I know. It's so tough. These Thursday games, usually some low-scoring games. And if you look at the Steelers, they've basically played to the under all year long, and the Vikings have played to the over. I have a lean to the over here. I think we just get it. I feel like with some of the inconsistency with both offenses, and I do agree with Ray. Kirk Cousins, a lot of people are hard on this guy. I don't know why. Because he marches his team up the field when they're down, and he seems to give them a lead, and it's the defense that lets them down. So I think we could see a couple turnovers, maybe a defensive score, which gets us to that over. So I do have the lean to the over, 43.5? Yeah, Give me the over. That's kind of what I'm feeling.
Ray, where are you sitting?
Yeah, Minnesota's been really fruitful for us in betting and fantasy when you're talking about scoring points and putting up monster numbers. So even though I have a little more confidence in Pittsburgh's defense, really in TJ Watt for the most part, being able to apply pressure on that offensive line. They're down Elijah Vera Tucker on that offensive line on the Vikings front. We don't know what we're going to get out of the running backs. I do think the over 43.5 is the point total for both of these teams. Thursday night games are tough, but when you have the firepower of a Justin Jefferson, you have Deontay Johnson, there's Najee Harris, Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison. I think there's a lot of ingredients for the over in the point total. So I'll take the over on this one.
It's going to be an interesting game. And another guy that has been kind of off and on this year, Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, he's been tripping over himself, then all of a sudden he'll have a game. So we never really know what's coming from this old man. I want to talk about his pass completions and yards tonight. Let's start with the completions. We're sitting at 22.5. Meaney, what side of the line are you sitting on for this?
Oh man, yeah, Ben's a tough guy to trust. I will go with the completions. I think, a lot of people, we'll get to Najee Harris in a little bit. I think a lot of people think that the Steelers run the ball more than they actually do. So I believe that Minnesota is going to, try to stack the box here and try to force Big Ben to throw the football. We know that Harris can catch balls out of the backfield better than a lot of people in the NFL. Spectacular for a rookie, really. So I am going to lean with Ben. You look at some of his games, a lot of attempts, 40, 58, 40, 40, 34. His last couple, 44, 41, 31. Didn't have to throw the football all that much against, Baltimore last week, but it was mostly just, I think, for the Ravens, they were killing some clock with some long drives. I think that Ben is going to have to drop back here, and I think he's going to chuck the ball more than 40 times. So I think he could get up to the mid-20s when it comes to completions.
And do you think then he hits his 257.5 passing yards that he's sitting at?
Yeah, that one's a tough one for me. That's a no bet. I don't want to cop out. I would not bet that at all. I can't put my hard-earned bucks on Big Ben throwing for like 260 passing yards. But as Ray said, there's a lot of players in this game that are explosive, and it only takes a couple, like one deep shot to Chase Claypool, and you're probably going to get that. But as much as I like the completions, I think it will be short yardage throws, maybe Pat Freiermuth, Deontay Johnson. You can move him all over the field. He's a target hog, maybe a couple, out of the backfield to Najee. So I don't want to confuse people. I would take the over with the completions, but I'm not there on the yards.
Right. 22.5 pass completions.
At first I was nervous. I was like, wait, 257, what kind of horse, what is this? Because I took the under on Ben Roethlisberger's passing yards on Prize Picks. I took the under. Yeah, like 240.5. So I was like, give me my 17 damn yards. I'm with Meaney. I can see it. Listen, Deontay Johnson, we know he's going to get peppered with targets. We know Chase Claypool is going to have his opportunities, and Najee Harris should get, a decent amount of targets out of the backfield, and you've got a splattering of other players. Can he hit it? Yes. Would I put money on it? No. Like I'm copping out, Meaney. I'm copping out. I'm fine with it. I'm the cop out guy on this show. I embrace that role. I wouldn't touch it because just as much as we can see a world in which Ben Roethlisberger goes out there and chunks the ball around 40 times, I can also see where he goes out there and he completes 13 damn passes. Like it's just he's so up and down. You don't know what Ben Roethlisberger you're going to get every week. I'd rather bet on like a Kirk Cousins. Like, Kirk's going to throw the ball. It's going to be accurate. It's going to go where it needs to go. Like, I don't trust Ben Roethlisberger at this stage of his career. Coming off of a short week, I don't trust it, man. I can't touch it. I can't touch it.
He's a tough one. He is definitely a tough one. On the other side of the ball, this is actually one that I am taking tonight. If you listened to my Prize Picks earlier this week, and let's say Kirk Cousins. We're going to talk about the passing yards, and then my favorite, the touchdown. Passing yards, 252.5 passing yards. Over, under, what are you sitting at, Meaney?
Yeah, I'll give the over here, even though there's no Adam Thielen. I said, I think Kirk Cousins has had a phenomenal season, really. What Ray said, 3 interceptions and 25 touchdowns. He's got 5 games with at least 2 passing touchdowns, and he's thrown at least 2 in every single game, but 3 this season, and a couple of them came against some tough defenses early on in the season when the Browns were fully healthy. That was a tough spot for Kirk Cousins and the Vikings, but man, he's been very accurate so far this season. I've been super impressed with him. Ray, you said, you were hopping on mean streets. I don't know if you caught a couple people hanging out and saying like Kirk Cousins is done, he's finished, he's washed.
I saw the blasphemous talk in there.
What?
I saw that.
Ooh.
Yeah, like what is that all about? Kirk Cousins has had some really strong games, 294, 341, 238, coming off a game against the Lions, 340. I'm with you, Brooke. I think that the yards is something that I would take, and I think he throws for a couple touchdowns here today.
Yeah, I think the 1.5 touchdowns is kind of just an easy one. If you look at his stats, he's gone 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. He's only had 3 games that he's thrown 1 touchdown in. So I took that in my prize picks. I hit the over on the touchdowns. Ray, where are you sitting with his 252.5 pass yards?
I mean, I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. I mean, you got Justin Jefferson. He'll gobble up half of that himself. He's just trying to figure out who's getting the other half. Where are the other 125 yards, 120 yards coming from? KJ Osborne, Tyler Conklin, running backs, somebody else. It's just I have a hard time seeing that happen. But we got to pick a narrative somewhere. If I think the game is going to go over, and I'm bearish on Ben Roethlisberger, right? Then process of elimination. Ben's not going to hit his over. Deontay Johnson probably not going to hit his over. But I think the team total, the total points scored, is going to go over 43.5. I don't think Alexander Mattison or Dalvin Cook are running for 250. So I think process of game narrative elimination, you got to take the over with Kirk Cousins passing yards. So I'm with it. I could rock with that.
And his 1.5 touchdowns, you think he thinks
yes.
he throws multiple?
Yes. I think Justin Jefferson is going to get him one, and then it's whether it's Tyler Conklin, KJ Osborne, or some random ass player, I think he'll put 2 in the zone.
So we'll go over to the talk of Pittsburgh this year. Najee Harris sitting at 70.5 rush yards. I mean, he has forced 60 missed tackles this season, the most in the NFL. So I know where I'm sitting on here. Meaney, where are you?
Yeah, we may disagree a little. This one is super tough. I was back and forth all day with Tino on this one.
It's under.
I am.
Okay.
I am leaning under. Yes, I am leaning under. Anthony Barr and Eric Kendricks back here today. I think that's huge for the Vikings to be able to stop the run. They haven't been that great stopping the run. But like I said earlier, I don't believe that Pittsburgh runs all that much. 23.7 carries per game. It's 24th in the league, 20 carries per game on the road. That's 30th in the NFL. Harris is averaging just 3.6 yards per carry. I don't love the offensive line. 5 games, 3.5 yards or higher just once. It was 4.1 yards per attempt. So since week 9 here, just looking at some of our tools over at FTN data, he's only had 4 explosive runs over 10 plus yards. So I think he's a great running back. Don't get me wrong. I think he's fantastic. I think he has the ability to break one. Certainly he could do that. I mean, we saw Damian Harris the other day break one. Like this is the NFL. These guys are legit, and Harris is certainly legit. And he could break one to the house, but he hasn't topped 70 yards. I mean, he's only done it once in his last 5 games, and it took 26 carries. So I feel like the Vikings are going to stack the box and say, go ahead, Big Ben. Let's see what you got. Throw the ball as much as you want. Take some shots at Claypool. Go hook up with DJ, some balls into the backfield for Harris. I think he can have a day. I definitely think his total yards could get over 70, but I got to lean with the under here. But it is certainly tough because it's a low number, and it's a running back, Ray, that gets all the touches out of the backfield.
I mean, he gets it all, but the issue is, and you said it perfectly, Najee Harris is a fantastic running back. This is not an indictment on Najee Harris. It's an indictment on the Pittsburgh offensive line and the inconsistent play of Ben Roethlisberger. And because of that, if I'm Minnesota and Mike Zimmer, and you're telling me I get one of the fastest linebackers in Eric Kendricks back on the field, you get Anthony Barr back on the field, Pittsburgh's offensive front is not playing well, I'm going to take my chances on Ben Roethlisberger beating me through the air. I don't like the over on Najee Harris's rushing yards. I'd much rather target reception total for Najee Harris. I think 3.5 is what I've seen out there. I'd much rather target that and just bet on him getting a couple of those dump-off passes from Ben opposed to going over 70 yards. I just don't think it's happening tonight. Now, the one good thing in Najee's favor, it is indoors. He's not having to play outdoors, no inclement weather. Maybe that helps those chances. I cannot bet on the Pittsburgh offensive line. You can't do it, man.
So what if I told y'all the Vikings defense is ranked 29th against the run and allows
Yikes.
over 131 yards per game? Does this change y'all's view at all?
It should. It probably
It should.
should, Brooke.
It
Yeah,
probably
it probably
should.
should. Yeah.
But you know what's going to happen? Here's what's going to happen. Najee's going to get 60. They're going to give a reverse to Claypool, who'll pick up 30. Ray McLeod is going to take a jet sweep and go 25, and they'll still hit. They'll give up 130 yards, but it's not going to be to Najee Harris.
If y'all are telling me my power play isn't going to hit tonight, I am going to be so sad. I'm coming after y'all.
No, you're going to get it. You know, Ray, they even had, I saw an end around once with Pat Freiermuth, too. Like, they do a lot of different things to try to get the ball in some playmakers' hands to try to run. That's how bad the offensive line is. But, yeah, Brooke, you're making me feel a little uneasy about the under.
Well, here's the thing, and this is a good point. It's a good point. Like, the situation, it can't get any better. Well, I guess there's 3 other teams worse than Minnesota stopping the run, but it's conducive for him to do it. But for me, I have to bet on the history and the pattern of it not being available to him, those running lanes not being there. So if you are going to bet the over on a game for Najee Harris to hit it, I guess here you go. You got a bad defense, so it's prime for him to do it. I just am not confident in it. And again, it's not an indictment on Najee Harris. It's just they got a bad offensive situation.
So heading to the other side of the ball, I think the talk of the town in Minnesota tonight is Justin Jefferson. He's at 92.5 receiving yards. Meaney, do you think he has a chance with Kirk Cousins tonight?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm in on this one. I know that Pittsburgh's probably going to be trying to double him and blanket him. I understand all that, but this guy is just an absolute beast. He really is. 182 yards last week on 14 targets. The week before, 83, $169, $143 his last 4 games, 44 targets over his last 4 games. I don't know how you can't take the over here. He's in line for double-digit targets. Like, that's certainly a lock. You know, Ray said probably going to get it early here, a couple catches. And, you know, last year, this guy set an NFL rookie wide receiver record, and he's going to break that record this year. I know he's not a rookie in his sophomore year. Last year, what he did is not a fluke at all. So I know this number is creeping up to the mid-90s in some spots. Check out our free prop shop over at FTN Bets, but it's still sub-90 over at Prize Picks. I mean, I'm into it. I think he tops 100. I think he hits the century mark again.
Right, you agree?
That line doesn't scare me one bit. I know a lot of people see 90 yards. I don't care if it was set at 100 yards. I am rolling in the Justin Jefferson Flames. Target consolidation, no Adam Thielen. Jets is going to get his opportunities. And the thing is, he's running the routes that matter. He's going downfield, getting those deep targets and still being hyper-targeted, and he's converting. Yes, love it, like it, smash it. Justin Jefferson over. Don't need to say anything else.
Love it, love it, love it. And I think this is the guy that's kind of gotten shaded all week long from what I've been hearing. Chase Claypool sitting at 3.5 receptions. Meaney, do you agree with everyone that this just isn't going to be his game, or do you think he goes off?
Yeah, I don't think he goes off. I think I'd rather take his receiving yards. Our guy Jeff Ratcliffe is super sharp. He's the #1 ranker in the business. His projections are on point. He's got him for 59 receiving yards. I mean, he's top 50 in 3 straight games. He does have that high ADOT. We talk about Big Ben, how we can't trust this guy. So I would rather take the yards, knowing that maybe Big Ben could hook up with him once or twice, but I don't know if he could hook up with him 4 times here. I know I feel like I'm kind of all over the place with the Steelers offense, right? We're talking about Najee under and then like Big Ben completions, but yet I don't think he's going to get the yards. I don't know. It's not a number that I feel all that confident with. I mean, you just look at the back of his football card. This guy 1, 2, 3 games since week 4 where he's had over 3 catches. So not for me.
Right? 3.5?
I took the under. I got it at 4 on Prize Picks, and I took the under.
Nice.
I'm with Meaney. I can absolutely see him catching a bomb and then going, 0 dark 30 for the rest of the game. So I cannot confidently say he's going to go, hit 4 receptions in this one. And as you said, Meaney, Ratcliffe is one of the best in the business for a reason. So I would rather, if I was going to bet the over on anything, it would be the yards, not the reception. So don't like it. I'd take the under, Brooke.
And then this is a guy that has been talked about because Adam Thielen is out. Tyler Conklin, he showed up last week. Now he's sitting at 38.5 receiving yards. Meaney, do you think he does it?
Man, this is another guy that I think I'd rather just take the yards than the catches here, but he did lead all Vikings players in snaps last week. He ran more routes than anybody. He's he's a different tight end. I mean, there's been some massive games with him. I know week 8 and 9, he had 7 targets. That led all Vikings players that week, even with a healthy Thielen and a Justin Jefferson. 7 grabs last week on 9 targets. Yeah, Brooke, what do we got? 3.5? 3.5? Yeah. I guess I could see that. I could see that. 4. Give me the over. It's not one of my favorite bets. I'd rather get in on a couple others that we've talked about in KJ Osborne, but I could see him catching 4 passes here. You know, he's probably going to be the number 1 target for Kirk Cousins in the red zone too. Like there's been a couple games where he just has 1 or 2 catches. Like he had 3 catches for 11 yards in week 10. 2 of the 3 catches were for touchdowns. Like he is targeted inside the red zone, so we could get a couple looks that way. I'll lean with the over, but it's not one of my favorite plays on the board.
And the 38.5 receiving yards, you think he gets that?
Give it to me. Yeah, I mean, if he's gonna get 4 grabs, I feel he's gonna get to the 40. I guess I'm in on Conklin here today. I didn't think that I would be, but I guess I'm in.
Yes. Yeah,
right.
He's been involved in the offense before. No Adam Thielen. I think he's the second trusted pass catcher for Kirk Cousins. And if Pittsburgh does try to come out with shade coverage over top of Justin Jefferson, man underneath, they've got a safety over top. I think Kirk will look to loosen that up by working the underneath routes. That will bode well for Tyler Conklin. So, and he's actually, I mean, he's not bad after the catch either. You know, he's got an ability to turn it up and do a little something. So he can hit that 38.5 rather quickly. A seam route up the middle. There's 17 right there. You know, catches 2 more passes. He's damn near there. So I like the over, man. Again, target consolidation. He's going to go to the people that he trusts. That's Justin Jefferson. That's Tyler Conklin.
And they have finally, yes, they finally announced.
This is good analysis.
We love it. We love it.
Sometimes I do something right on this show, besides the camera falling down and all kinds of stuff. Sometimes, Meaney, I'm just good at it. Just sounds good, man. It just rolls off the tongue.
Well, Ray, at least you understand the weather matters, which doesn't even matter tonight. So Elliot would love this one because weather truly doesn't matter tonight indoors. So he would be happy.
Yeah, he'd be happy.
Speaking of, they finally announced Dalvin Cook is in for this game. Sources say he'll play with a shoulder harness on. Will have his typical workload, just like he did versus the Saints in January 2020 when he had 31 touches for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. So the books are saying he'll run for 63.5 yards tonight. Do you think he can do it, Meaney?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you just gave some pretty good numbers of what he did before when he came back. And, you know, there's a history here. He's been hurt a few times over the course of his career. And Alexander Mattison, who's one of the better backup running backs in the league, man, there's a good dozen teams in the NFL that would love to have Mattison as their starter. And when Cook comes back in the lineup, he just takes a back seat. We've never really seen a split. And it's not because Mattison wasn't good filling in for Cook. He was phenomenal in the games that he filled in for Cook. Heck, he was great last week and 2 times this season. So I think so, Brooke. I think I got to take the over there. I mean, this is a running back. We just talked about Harris too. Like he could do this on 5 or 6 runs here. He's that talented. So I'll take the over.
Right? Over? 63.5?
You got to fire him up. My question is, what's it, 66.5 right now?
63 it was.
63? I mean, if there wouldn't have been any question mark like about his injury, I don't think the line would have opened up this low in the first place. So if he's going to play, and I think there's value there. If he's going to play and get his full workload, listen, you can't bet, you can't play fantasy, DFS, any of that what if he gets if he's out there and they say he's going to play, then let's go with it. So I like the over on Dalvin Cook. Like, let's rock with it, baby.
I do too. And it's sitting at 64.5 right now, which I think still is very, very reasonable. And Meaney, this is our favorite time of the entire show. We call first touchdown. And I want to hear who you think out of this game could score the first touchdown tonight.
Give me KJ Osborne. Yeah, this is a pretty good opportunity for KJ Osborne. Earlier in the season, they were running a lot of 3 wide receiver sets, which is something that the Vikings didn't really do over the past couple years. And I noticed in the first couple weeks of the season, he was really involved in the first and second drive. So to me, that makes me think that they game scripted for him. So I think that they're going to have a plan for him. Ray talks about what Pittsburgh could try to do to, limit Justin Jefferson, who, by the way, I don't know if you guys believe in narratives. I meant to bring this up earlier. He has 1,209 receiving yards, Jefferson. He could break a record here for most receiving yards in the first 2 seasons of his NFL career. So that was, he could pass Odell Beckham Jr. here tonight. So he only needs, I think like $140. So, I think he could do that. But I think the first touchdown to KJ Osborne. So last week, Thielen left early in that game. KJ Osborne played more snaps than Justin Jefferson. He ran 1 fewer route than him. So this is a guy that I think is definitely going to be involved in today's game. Maybe they get it early. So I'll go with KJ Osborne for the first.
You hear that, people? Meaney is saying KJ Osborne better than Justin Jefferson. More routes, getting the targets. Listen,
I figure they won't let me back on the show, so I got to say ludicrous stuff like that, right?
Hey, you're gonna be happy because he's sitting at plus 1,100 right now. So
let's go.
I see him at plus 1,300 even a couple of places. So yeah, Listen, plus 1,300, same odds as Tyler Conklin. That's who I was going to go with. Tyler Conklin sitting there at plus 13. The good thing is we're all on board with the same team scoring for first, Minnesota. But if I had to I like plus 1,300 for KJ Osborne and Tyler Conklin, but plus 600 for Justin Jefferson ain't bad either. 6-1 odds for Justin Jefferson to get in the zone first. I'm going to go with Mr. 4TD himself, Justin Jefferson. I'm going with Justin Jefferson. I'm not gonna dig deep. I thought about Ray McLeod. I thought about doing something crazy, but I'm gonna go very standard, very safe. I'm just gonna go Justin Jefferson.
I like it. I was going with Dalvin Cook. He's sitting at a low 600, so okay. I'll take
That's
it.
Pretty good.
That's still good.
We'll take that one. Dalvin Cook, I think he's going to go off tonight. I think that it's Dalvin Cook. It's not like he's not going to go off. He's inside. He's at home. The whole Skull crowd's going to be going. They're going to be nuts. So, it's going to go off tonight. I think it's going to be a good one. Y'all have any other bets you got going on tonight? Meaney, you have any of them sitting around?
Not really. I think we touched on them all. By the way, you can get the Steelers plus 3.5 everywhere. This morning was just points bet. You get a DK, you get a FanDuel, wherever you want, if you want to get that hook. I guess I'll give some love to Deontay Johnson, 6.5 catches. I think this is something that he could do. 17 grabs and 25 targets in his last 2 games. He's got 7 catches in each of his last 4, at least 7 catches in each of his last 4. He's averaging a league high 12.7 targets over his last 4 games, 7.7 catches. Yeah, he's second in the NFL in targets. I think he can get to 7 grabs pretty easily.
I think it's going to be a good night. Ray, you excited for this game?
I am, and I'm going to throw one out there. I like Ray McLeod over 10.5 receiving yards. So I like Ray McLeod. If you're trying to get some juice on a parlay, I think you can throw Ray McLeod on there. Speed guy, he can do it in one play. All I need him to do is do it just one play. He's caught a couple of passes. He's actually hit that number 3 of his last 4 games. It ain't like he's going 50, 60 yards now, folks. He's like 14 yards, 17 yards, 20, but he's done it 3 of his last 4 games. So I like Ray McLeod over 10.5 receiving yards.
There's some good plays tonight. I think either way, throw some money on some things, get some skin in the game, make it exciting. I think it's going to be a good game. They look freezing, so I think they're happy that it's inside, because I was just watching NFL Network and they looked absolutely frozen, like they could barely talk. So I'm glad we're sitting inside as well. I like this whole studio show thing we got going on, and we have wine, and so it can't get better than this. Well, wherever you are, Elliot, we do miss you. Meaney, thank you for coming on. You did a fabulous job. Everyone jump on the Meaney train, because this guy knows what he's doing. Ray, good to see you this week. And we will all see you guys back here next Thursday for FTN Bets Happy Hour. Cheers, y'all, and enjoy the game. Happy Thursday.
Cheers.